here from the Dogwood in Midtown. Ryan Porth, Caroline Fenton. We'll be right back on Preds Extra, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
It's game day in Smashville.
He scores! Matt Duchene wins it in double overtime. The Predators win it 5-4.
The Preds look to tie the series against Carolina in Game 4.
Yeah, it feels really good. It's nice we found a way to win and get ourselves back in the win column.
Pre-game coverage begins at 12:30 on Smashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
BetMGM welcomes you to Showtime with a risk-free first bet up to $600. Simply sign up and use bonus code MGM600 and you're on your way to betting with the king of sportsbooks. Plus, with BetMGM's new one-game parlay feature, you can choose from hundreds of bet types and combinations within a single game to build the perfect parlay. All the action on all your favorite sports will be at your fingertips when you download the app or go to BetMGM.com and use bonus code MGM600 to make your first bet risk-free up to $600. Bet with confidence and turn game day into payday at BetMGM. New customer offer, paid and free bets. Must be 21 years or older. Must be in Tennessee. Visit BetMGM.com for full list of terms and conditions. For problem gambling support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789.
Family Leisure invites you to vacation at home with a new spa, pool, patio furniture, or wood play gym this summer.
I really want a spa.
40 spas on display from Artesian, Best Spas, and American Select.
Prices starting as low as $29.99.
Family Leisure has over 100 sets of patio furniture with free delivery.
That sounds good to me, too.
We should really look at the wood play gyms for the kids. Family Leisure has the Diamond Point swing set on sale at only $24.99 installed. Family Leisure's vacation at home sale in Franklin and Antioch.
Hey, this is Jared, the owner of MTGRT.com. If your mortgage rate is not...
Lobs it toward the line. Here's Duchene breaking in. He scores! Matt Duchene wins it in double overtime. The Predators win it 5-4. Holy cow. Go ape, everybody.
Go Ape, indeed. That was Pete Weber and Hal Gill on the call Friday night for Matt Duchene's double overtime winner. Go Ape.
Go! I like that. I'm going to start using that from now on.
It's a playoff.
Go Ape.
It's a playoff thing with one Pete Weber. Go Ape, everybody! Go Ape. That is Pete Weber's playoff specialty with the Nashville Predators. Ryan Porth, Caroline Fenton here with you. Preds Extra live from the Dogwood in Midtown. Come on out, have some brunch, have some Texas-sized mimosas before you go down to Broadway for Game 4 of the Preds and Canes, or just come out and hang out as they have brunch until 3 p.m. Eat some brunch, watch some hockey. This is the host of our watch party today for Game 4 between the Predators and the Hurricanes. So we talked about it a little bit in the first segment, Caroline. The Do More crew, as you and Jared have tabbed them, Matt Duchene, Ryan Johansen, Ryan Ellis, Mikhail Granlund, all players that this team has needed to step up, not only in this postseason, but before this postseason and in seasons prior. And I thought the Do More crew was pretty awesome Friday night in Game 3. Let's start with Matt Duchene. The clip there you heard was Duchene's game-winning goal in double overtime. By the way, the 95th minute of the entire game.
Oh my
so
gosh.
95 at the 95th minute, scoring in double overtime. It's funny how that works out
It
sometimes.
kind of feels like it was like divine intervention there.
I know, right? I didn't realize that until Joe Rexrode mentioned that in his column when I read that yesterday in The Athletic. And by the way, Joe Rexrode called that. In Call Your Shot Friday on Robbie and Rexrode, he said the Preds were going to win in overtime and Matt Duchene was going to score the winner.
Hats off to you, Joe Rexrode.
I mean, Joe Rexrode, the wizard.
Good take, Joe. He's
Yes,
good take, Joe, today.
That was good take, Joe, on Friday, for sure. So Matt Duchene, the big winner in double overtime. I'm really curious to see how he responds in Game 4 after that big goal for him. Does that big goal get him going? He was on the line with Ryan Johansen and Philip Forsberg to start Game 3. They were together the entire game. So Matt Duchene, Ryan Johansen, Philip Forsberg, I thought that was an interesting trio. I knew in the last game of the season that John Hines wasn't just putting those three together just for you-know-what and giggles. Like, there was something there that John Hines wanted to see, and he tried them in Game 3. Duchene on the right wing with Forsberg and Johansen. I thought Duchene played pretty well and then came up big in the big moment.
He did play very well, and we call the Do More crew not just any player on the Predators that needs to step up more, but Jared and I have said it's the guys who need to earn their contracts, the guys who have big-time contracts. Matt Duchene, $8 million a year. He wasn't earning it. So the Do More crew are the people who needed to step up, make moves, and earn your contract. And I'm not going to say that Matt Duchene earned $8 million on Friday night, but he very much so set the bar very, very high. And if this is what Matt Duchene is going to start doing, if this kind of production from Matt Duchene is going to become a regular thing, then absolutely he earned his contract. But my problem with Matt Duchene is it's inconsistent. He can come up big. He can score 2 goals against the Carolina Hurricanes in the regular season, and then he can kind of fall back. And then he scores a double overtime goal, has 22 minutes on the ice, has a big game. But
But
I
can
need to
you
see
carry
some
it over?
consistency.
Right.
Exactly. Can he continue to do this every game?
Exactly. And with Matt Duchene, I thought you could see the relief on his face and the sheer emotion when they announced the 3 stars and he came out and he was fired up in front of. He did go ape on the ice for the 3 stars. But there was that emotional relief that he came through in the clutch for his club on Friday night. So he came up big. I thought Ryan Ellis played very well.
He did have a good game.
He had the opening goal in the first period, and then he had the shot in the third period that was deflected in by Ryan Johansen. Ryan Ellis, I also thought on the penalty kill in the third period, had a great showing. Ryan Ellis has been trending in the wrong direction in the last couple of seasons in terms of the eye test and what we've seen from him on a night-to-night basis. But Game 3, he came up big as well.
He did. And if you are John Hines, do you touch that lineup from Friday? Do you change anything?
All right, well, let's get into the power play because I was not thrilled that Johansen and Duchene and Ellis, all 3 of them, were not on the power play. And they scored on the power play. It was 5-on-3. Right. So they needed a 2-man advantage to score a goal on the power play with Mikhail Granlund, another member of the Do More crew here in the playoffs, scoring a big goal. But just because they scored a goal at 5-on-3 with the power play and did look better on the power play than they did in Game 2 doesn't mean I would roll out with the same power play lineup. Nick Cousins and Eric Halla should not be on the power play before Ryan Johansen and Matt Duchene. That's a combined $16 million that you're leaving on the bench for the power play when you need them on the power play.
Right.
So if I was John Hines, and look, John Hines talked about it after the game. We have that audio. Hines was wanting to change things up, and here's what Hines had to say about that power play unit specifically with no Johansen and no Duchene on it.
Yeah, I think it's a situation where I thought we did a better job on entries and we were able to get in with possession and had some good looks. And, I thought that the guys that were on the power play tonight, they did a really good job. I mean, we had 10 chances, 4 or 5-on-3 goal. Tolvanen hits 2 posts, lots of offensive zone time, no chances against, shorthanded. So I thought the intensity level, the execution level, the puck decisions, the puck execution on the power play tonight was what you need. We had real good opportunities, as I said. I think Tolvanen hit 2 posts. We had some other really good looks. I thought the responsibility when there were 50-50 puck battles in those situations, the responsibility of the guys that were on the power play tonight to be able to recover and not give up what we gave up the other night. And, we feel we feel we have a lot of really good players on our team. And, I think when something's not working, like it was the other night or the first 2 games, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. And I think that the players that were on the power play tonight really competed, good execution, puck pressure. I thought they did a good job. So that's a real positive, moving in the right direction here as we continue to move on.
So that was John Hynes following Game 3 talking about the power play and the fact that he made changes to the power play, which included no 92, no 95, and no 4. I have a feeling that Hynes is going to roll with the same exact lineup today that he did for Game 3 because that lineup won for him.
Right.
I don't know if I would use that same mentality for the power play. I just wouldn't. I'm sorry, Nick Cousins should not be on your power play over Ryan Johansen. And I like Nick Cousins as a player. He's not being paid to be out there and provide offense. Johansen and Duchene are. So maybe you only put one of them back on the power play, but I would still mix up the power play because you still did not, outside of Tolvanen hitting the post a couple times, including one in overtime that nearly gave me a heart attack, I still would not roll with that lineup on the power play.
I was very pleased to see Ellie Tolvanen on the power play because I was nervous that John Hynes had Ellie Tolvanen on a very short leash.
Me too.
And I think that he belongs on the power play, and I was afraid that he would pull him in Game 3 because he didn't really produce in Game 2. But I don't think that's necessarily fair whenever John Hynes has given, for example, Victor Arvidsson probably more chances than he deserved. So I was very pleased to see Ellie Tolvanen in the power play lineup. And there was one thing that John Hynes said that I think was important, and he mentioned that the power play is moving in the right direction. It's not there. It's not solved. It's not perfect, but it is moving in the right direction. And there were some comments that John Hynes had made after games 1 and 2 about, hey, we played a good game. We played a better 5-on-5. Okay, yeah, but it seemed like he was maybe turning a blind eye to some of the issues, at least in the post-game pressers. So I was happy to see that John Hynes wasn't, signed, sealed, delivered. We're done with the power play. All of our issues are solved. Sure. I think the power play is moving in the right direction, but it's not quite there yet.
So the power play is now 1 for 17 in this series. And
gosh.
I mean, look, the one
Not
was
good,
a
Bob.
big one on Friday night in the second period of Game 3 as the puck just sat there on the goal line, and then Mikhail Granlund just tapped it in.
Mm-hmm.
Just tapped it in.
Just park
Give me a
yourself
little
in front of
tappy.
the net and
Tap-a-roo.
put it in.
So Mikhail Granlund, big goal. I think he rolls with the same lineup. Victor Arvidsson was not in the lineup because of an upper body injury. I don't think Hynes touches that lineup, and that can sometimes be a dangerous thing. One of the worst coached games that Barry Trotz ever had as head coach of the Nashville Predators was Game 4 against Phoenix, now known as the Arizona Coyotes, but Phoenix at the time, because he suspended Alexander Radulov and Andrei Kostitsyn for Game 3 because they were out late the night before Game 2. They missed their curfew, and it was a one-game suspension. So they're down 0-2 coming home. They win Game 3 like 2-0. They scored 2 goals in the first period and just sat on that lead 1-2-0. So then Trotz rolls out the same lineup in Game 4 because it worked in Game 3, which meant you didn't have Radulov in there, one of your most talented forwards at the time. You didn't have Andrei Kostitsyn, who was more of a talent than he was a player. And you were without those two, and then you end up getting shut out in Game 4. It was a horrible look. And he also didn't put Paul Gostad out there for a face-off in the third period down 1-0 when you're trying to get the puck. And you gave up a first-round pick for Paul Gostad, but that's neither here nor there. But, like, I think he rolls with the same lineup. I think that is a dangerous mindset for hockey coaches to have sometimes, that since it worked in one game, I'm just going to roll with it in the next.
And I'm a big proponent for if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Sure.
But I don't think that this necessarily applies here because Carolina is going to make adjustments. Carolina is going to make changes. Carolina wants to win this game. So you also have to keep up with those changes. And you know that Carolina has kind of figured out your game plan. So you also have to continue to grow and change and make those adjustments.
There was one other member of the Do More crew that stepped up big Friday night. And it was Ryan Johansen. And there was something that he did Friday night that I loved and also pulled my hair out. We'll get to that coming up next. I'm Ryan Porth. She is Caroline Fenton. We're live from the Dogwood in Midtown, getting you set for Game 4. Pre-game coming up at 12:30. Puck drop at 1:30. All the action heard here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Come out and join us for brunch, Texas-sized mimosas, for the watch party starting at 1:30 for Game 4. It's all happening here at the Dogwood in Midtown. This is Preds Extra, ESPN 102.5 The Game, streaming on the Game Nashville app.
Here's Ellis from the right side. They score! It may have been tipped in front by Johansen. Off the faceoff. The Predators take the lead back. It's 4-3.
Welcome back into Preds Extra, ESPN 102.5 The Game, streaming on the Game Nashville app. Ryan Porth and Caroline Fenton live from the Dogwood in Midtown. A lot of people already showing up in some Preds gear as we have a party wagon going out in front of us. I mean, everything is happening right now.
I love it.
At the Dogwood in Midtown.
It is a blast over here. There's some brunch squads rolling in. The party buses are going, and it's a beautiful day.
I have my eyes right now on the Texas-sized mimosa.
It is very large.
It is Texas-sized.
It is indeed Texas-sized.
For sure. So if you're looking to have a little bit of Sunday Fun Day action to your Game 4 viewing experience, the Dogwood in Midtown is your spot. All right. Caroline, we heard the goal call there from Pete Weber for Ryan Johansen's go-ahead goal in the third period of Game 3. That made it 4-3. Carolina came back and tied it at 4-4 later in the period. Ryan Johansen has had a very confusing tenure with the Nashville Predators, where in the playoffs, he comes up big. And in the regular season, you're almost playing roulette with him. You don't know what version of 92 you're going to get on a night-to-night basis. But that goal right there both had me thrilled and mad, and just mad all at the same time. Because why doesn't he do that more? He wins the face-off. The puck goes back to Ryan Ellis, and Ryan Johansen books it for the front of the net. He screens on Alex Nedeljkovic. He gets the tip-in goal, and they go up 4-3. Why doesn't he do that more? Like, speaking of the do more crew,
right?
That is something that Ryan Johansen, throughout his career, I'm not just talking about this postseason, throughout his career, that is something that he has needed to do more and needs to do more of as we move along in this playoff series, because they don't have a natural net front presence.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I made the point after Game 2 about how Ellie Tolvanen, on a shot by Luke Cunnin in the third period, just moved out of the way of Nedeljkovic, and Nedeljkovic was able to see the puck. The Preds were trailing 1-0. I am still convinced to this day that if Tolvanen parks himself in front of Nedeljkovic and he doesn't see that puck is finding the back of the net, and it's a 1-1 game. Who knows what happens from there in Game 2. But Tolvanen skates by and does not screen Nedeljkovic. Johansen screens Nedeljkovic, and he gets his stick on the puck. It goes in the back of the net, and they go up 4-3. Great. Like, I loved that Johansen did that. But, like, why doesn't he do that more? And I thought he was awesome in Game 3. He's been fine in these playoffs leading up to Game 3. Like, why doesn't Ryan Johansen do that more? That was a question that I kept asking myself after he did that on Friday night.
And I feel the same way about Matt Duchene, too. And if you can get that consistency from them, if Ryan Johansen or Matt Duchene or whoever it may be becomes that go-to guy, just pass him the puck and he's going to get it in the net. The Predators don't have that. Matt Duchene can be that. Ryan Johansen can be that, but it's that lack of consistency that is the problem. And, 4 out of the 5 goals from the Predators on Friday night came right in front of the net. So just do that. Park yourself there. Ryan Johansen, Matt Duchene, whoever it may, Ellie Tolvanen, whoever it may be, park yourself in front of the net and be more consistent.
Absolutely. Well, look, Ryan Johansen has never scored goals here in Nashville. Like, he had a 30-goal season in Columbus that a lot of Preds fans like to go back to and say, why doesn't he score 33 goals in a season like he did in one of his first full seasons with the Blue Jackets? He's not a goal scorer, but he can score goals. He's never scored more than 15 goals in a season with the Preds. And for years, we clamored for him to shoot more, which I think is still something that he can do more of and should do more of instead of just trying to always be the facilitator. But go to the front of the net. Screen the goalie. He's 6'3". He's one of the only forwards on this team that pound for pound can go up against a Dougie Hamilton or go up against a Jacob Slavin when he's in the lineup, or Hakanpää or whatever his name is. Like, he's one of the only forwards that the Preds have that can physically go toe-to-toe with those guys. So he wins the faceoff. He goes to the front of the net. He screens the goalie, and he deflects it in. Like, do that today. Like, you may not score a goal that way, like, yourself, but you might screen the goalie, and a shot from Yossi or Ellis or Ekholm or whomever from the blue line might find the back of the net because Nedeljkovic can't see it.
And at least put pressure on Nedeljkovic. After Game 2, I think a lot of people were praising Nedeljkovic's performance, but But I don't think he really deserved it. He made some good saves, but the Predators never really put any sort of pressure on him. So like you said, just get in front of the net and at least make some shots, screen the pass, just put some pressure on them. And that's
Sure.
what I felt in the power play as well. The Predators couldn't even get in the offensive zone. At least get there.
Right. Well, and Johansen when he's on the power play, he's normally around the front of the net, but it doesn't always seem like he is playing the role of what Patrick Hornquist was for this Predators team for over the years. And that was park your butt in front of the goalie and make the defenseman move you out of the way so that their goalie can see it. Like, he's always hovering. He's there if there's a rebound, and sometimes he puts it home. But park your butt in front of the net and make life difficult on Nedeljkovic. Those are the kinds of goals that you're going to have to score if you're going to end up winning this series. Like, you can't always have it be pretty like Philip Forsberg's highlight reel goal on Friday night in Game 3. You're not always going to score the goal off a lob pass from Duchene down ice, and Duchene puts it home in double overtime. You can't count on those goals to happen in the playoffs. What Johansen did on Friday night, those are more of the style goals that you have to score in the playoffs.
Right, and do you think that we could possibly see Mrazek out there today? We're talking a lot about Nedeljkovic and how he can make some clutch saves, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some of Mrazek today.
I think Nedeljkovic goes into the game on a short leash. I don't think Mrazek starts, but let's say the Preds come out in the first period and they are vastly outplaying the Canes and they go up 2-0. Then I think that's where Brind'Amour might have a quick hook on Nedeljkovic. I always stumble on his name. Nedeljkovic.
It's tough.
It's tough, but it's also not that hard. Yeah, I think he has a short leash. And also, if the Preds were to win like a 3-2 type of game, we've seen this before many times in playoff series involving the Preds, where they'll win the 2 games at home and going back for Game 5, there's a goalie change. I would not be surprised if the Preds win today, no matter what it looks like, for Brind'Amour to then pivot to Mrazek. Like 2004, believe it was Manny Legacy who started that series for the Red Wings, and the Preds lit him up in Games 3 and 4. They go to Curtis Joseph, and Curtis Joseph shuts the door. 2008, the Red Wings started the series with Dominik Hasek, Hall of Famer. He loses Games 3 and 4. That's the end of his career because they go to Osgood in the next game, Chris Osgood, and Chris Osgood backs them to a Stanley Cup win. They didn't look back. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Brind'Amour do the same thing.
And on the other side, I think there's been a lot of talk about possibly putting Pekka in, but I don't think that John Hines puts Pekka in this game. Unless it is just absolutely terrible, I don't see UC Saros playing at a level where Pekka needs to go in.
I absolutely 100% think the leash for UC Saros is longer than it is for Alex Nedeljkovic.
It's a Texas-sized leash.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just like the Texas-sized mimosas out here at the Dogwood in Midtown. That's where we are. Ryan Porth, Caroline Fenton for Preds Extra, getting you set for Game 4 of Round 1 between the Preds and the Canes. Come out, hang out, have a lot of fun, have brunch, have mimosas. It's all here. I cannot wait to get these smothered brunch tots.
They do sound really good.
You might have to host the show solo.
I'll take it over.
If they put...
Hey, give me a tot and I'll take over.
If they put queso smothered tots in front of me while we're on the air, you're just going to have to take over.
That's
I'm
totally
not going to be
fine.
able to
We may
resist.
just have to just cut it short. Just
Absolutely.
say, okay, we're done.
You know what, Chase?
Give me a mimosa.
Chase McCabe is joining us at noon. If these smothered tots arrive before noon, we might just have to say, Chase, take it home for the last 30 minutes.
Chase, you got it. You're good. We're busy over here. We
Yeah.
have very important business to tend to over here at Dogwood.
Exactly. Speaking of Rod Brind'Amour, we've mentioned Rod Brind'Amour a couple of times. He was very critical of the officiating. What did we make of his comments following Game 3 where he just absolutely torched the officiating Friday night? We'll get to that coming up next. I'm Ryan Porth. She's Caroline Fenton, and you're listening to Preds Extra live from the Dogwood in Midtown here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, streaming on the Game Nashville app. back in. Preds Extra, ESPN 1025 The Game. Ryan Porth, Caroline Fenton here with you from the Dogwood in Midtown. And Caroline, I must admit, my life changed just now.
I mean, my life changed just because I'm so happy that you get to experience this tot situation happening over here.
And I'm going to have to wait another 10 minutes to eat these smothered brunch tots. But I'm literally looking at a plate of food that includes tater tots, sour cream, bacon. What do they call these? Like green onion chives?
Green onions?
Green onions, whatever. Yeah.
Scallions if you're feeling fancy.
Okay, scallions. And eggs on top. So tots, sour cream, bacon, green onion chive scallion things.
Green things.
Green things, and eggs.
Like, there's just, you were reading off what was on top of the menu to me, and there's absolutely nothing about that that's bad.
Like,
yeah, show the people.
If you're
Let 'em
watching
know.
live on our video stream, I am showing the, what are these? The smothered brunch tots.
Smothered brunch tots.
These are, I don't have it high enough. There we go.
Ooh, there it is. That's a
smothered
money shot right there.
Brunch tots. You might have to do the entire interview with Chase McCabe at 12 o'clock.
I mean, I might have to order some. So Chase is just going to have to take over.
You might. These are amazing.
Tots always remind me of Napoleon Dynamite.
I've never seen Napoleon Dynamite.
Ryan, we were talking about this earlier. Ryan hasn't seen any movies at all. None.
I didn't really have much interest.
Yeah, 6 total movies in his lifetime.
See, I like movies, but I'm not going to sit down and just watch a movie because I'm bored. Like,
why?
That's usually when I
It's the
end up
best.
playing like Madden or MLB The Show. Like if I'm bored, I'm going to do something like that. Or now that I own a house, if I'm bored, I'm probably just going to go outside and do yard work because
That's very adult of you.
there's always some yard work that can be done. I know. I feel like I'm 50 years old.
Yeah, I'm not quite there in the yard work department.
Yeah, I spent like half my afternoon yesterday spreading grass seed around our yard.
That's it. At least you got stuff done.
Yeah.
And you earned your tots today.
And I'm going to enjoy these tots in the next break. I cannot wait. So we're talking Game 4 of Preds Canes, which is coming up pregame 12:30, puck drop at 1:30. Come on out. We have our watch party here if you're not going to the game. It's the Dogwood in Midtown. Some Preds fans are already showing up. They're walking into the Dogwood now. So come on out, join the party. Brunch, Texas-sized mimosas, and playoff hockey. I don't know what more you could really ask for.
I see a pretty sweet cowboy hat walking in, too. I love that energy.
I mean, this is Smashville all wrapped up into one. Sunday fun day and playoff hockey with a cowboy hat, mimosas, and brunch. Flies get off my food. And, yeah, so we're out here at the Dogwood. So teased before the break that Rod Brindamore had some interesting post-game comments following Game 3.
He's not too happy.
No. So the Preds in the last 2 games have had 14 power plays. The Canes in the last 2 games have only had 6 power plays. And Rod Brindamore was not a fan of how the game was officiated Friday night. Here is what Hurricanes head coach Rod Brindamore said following the double overtime win for the Preds.
Well, I mean, what's the message? We played our butts off, played great, played hard. You know, we're playing a great team. And to me, you know, I didn't say it, but I think we're in a battle. And like I said, Nashville's a phenomenal team, but we're also fighting the refs. That's plain and simple. You can't tell me 2 games in a row, we get 7 and 8 penalties and they get 3. And when the game's this even, it's not right. It's not right. And I give my guys tons of credit for just sticking and going and playing their butts off and had a good chance to win. I mean, we still had a chance to win. Coming back, not right. 2 overtimes, you know, a knick-knack penalty. When there was stuff going all over, just flip the momentum, then they score the next shift after because we're out of rotation. That's not how it should go. So I didn't tell them that, but I'm proud of my group because they just battled.
That was Rod Brindamore commenting on the officiating after the Game 3 loss. I understand twofold what he's saying. First of all, the penalty that Matt Duchene got called on in favor of the Preds, the hooking penalty on, I think his name is Maxime Lajoie. Lajoie, okay. It was ticky-tack, and especially for playoff overtime, you typically don't call that. So I get it. I also understand that Rod Brindamore is trying to basically lay down his flag now and say this can't happen anymore in this series, and basically taking a shot at the National Hockey League, trying to get more power plays today. I understand that's part of his motive. But if you really want to look at what happened Friday night in terms of the penalties, Rod Brind'Amour, cry me a river. Because two of the Canes penalties were delay of game, puck over the glass. That is cut and dry. That is black and white. If you send the puck over the glass, as dumb of a rule as it is, that's a penalty. So 2 Preds power plays came off of that. And then you had another where Jordan Staal slew-footed Luke Cunnin to the point where he got fined for it yesterday, $5,000. So you take those 3 out, and it's a 4-3 power play advantage for the Preds, and compared to the Canes. Again, the one in double overtime was very ticky-tack. I understand that usually does not get called in overtime, but I mean, cry me a river.
And I would understand a little bit more of the frustration if the Predators were actually able to score consistently on the power play. Carolina has one of the best penalty kills in the league. The Predators are 1-17 on a power play, and 17 power plays in 3 games is astronomically high.
Yep.
But it's not like it's changing the games. It's not like it's completely changing the outcome because the Predators haven't been able to capitalize on it, and I think that the Canes have gotten really lucky, and it's really to their advantage.
I mean, here's the other thing, too, is that, we heard players from Tampa Bay and John Cooper yesterday criticize the officiating. There's been criticism in the Colorado-St. Louis series with officiating. Like,
Nashville has been a victim of makeup calls earlier this season.
Right. I mean, the officiating in today's world, no matter what the sport is not great. So you have to just put up with that. And that might be hard for Rod Brind'Amour to hear, but, deal with it. It's like this across not just the playoffs, not just hockey, but throughout sports right now.
Right.
I'm sorry, the officials are not out to get you. They're calling a game. And, yes, the last 2 games, 14-6 in favor of Nashville. Kudos to your penalty kill for only giving up 1 power play goal, and it was at 5-on-3 for the Preds. But, that's dem the brakes, right?
Right.
You're probably, now that you spoke up about it, going to get more power plays, at least in the first period. I guarantee you the first penalty called today is against the Preds because of what Rod Brind'Amour said. I guarantee you.
So frustrating. And I think that he knew Rod Brind'Amour knew what he was doing, saying, hey, look, I noticed what you're doing.
Oh, yeah. He knew what he was doing.
And Jordan Staal was asked the same thing about the officiating, and he just said, no comment. And I didn't really know how to interpret that. I was he didn't want to come off as he was complaining about it, or if he was just really genuinely so angry about it that he couldn't even speak to it.
Well, he didn't want to get fined by the NHL, but he ended up getting fined because he had what the NHL classifies as a dangerous trip. It was a slew foot on Luke Cunnin, and that resulted in the 5-on-3 in which Granlund scored. Also, with Jordan Staal, I think a lot of Preds fans out there might agree with this. I'm starting to get some Ryan Kessler 2011 vibes from Jordan Staal.
In what way?
So Jordan Staal, all right, first of all, Ryan Kessler, or as Preds fans call him, Ryan freaking Kessler, just completely dominated the Predators in the 2011 Round 2 series against Vancouver, where the moment that sticks out like a sore thumb is in one of the games here in Nashville, Kessler split the defense of, I believe it was Shea Weber and Shane O'Brien at the time, scored a huge goal in that game. Jordan Staal did the same in Carolina in Game 1, where he split Yossi and Ekholm and scored the goal at 4-on-4 in Game 1. And then he scores a big goal in Game 3. He's finding himself in the middle of all this, on top of the on-ice play, finding himself in the middle of all the post-whistle scrums. He has the no comment after the game.
You don't need to say anything more.
Sure.
Saying no comment says exactly what you needed to say.
So I think Preds fans are coming away from the first 3 games against the Canes maybe a little annoyed by Jordan Staal, like they were certainly getting annoyed with Ryan Kessler throughout that round 2 series against Vancouver. Not to say that Jordan Staal is going to turn into one of the biggest villains in Preds history, because that's certainly what Ryan Kessler did turn into. But I'm getting some Jordan Staal vibes, or some Ryan Kessler vibes from Jordan Staal, both in a good way for him on the ice because he's been great, and also off the ice when play isn't happening, where he's just a little annoying.
Mm-hmm. Just a little testy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm getting some Kessler vibes from him.
I like that. I wonder what we see from him today.
Speaking of vibes, the Preds are going to try to keep the good vibe going in Game 4. And coming up next, Chase McCabe will join us. We'll get his thoughts on the comments from Rod Brindamore. We'll get his thoughts on the Do More crew that we've talked about a lot this hour. Duchene, Johansen, Ellis all stepping up in Game 3. We'll get to all of that coming up next. She's Caroline Fenton. I'm Ryan Porth. We're live at the Dogwood in Midtown for our watch party this afternoon. Come on out, have brunch like I'm going to have during the break with these smothered tots that look oh so good, and have a lot of fun. It's a Sunday.
Have a lot of fun.
Have
Get
a fun
Texas-sized mimosa at 12:30 when we're off.
Exactly. Sunday fun day here at the Dogwood in Midtown. Chase McCabe joins us coming up next here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, streaming on the Game Nashville app. Welcome back into Preds Extra here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, streaming on the Game Nashville app. Ryan Porth and Caroline Fenton out at the Dogwood in Midtown. And I got to say, I tried to eat as many of these smothered brunch tots as I could during the break. And I'm in heaven.
They look
Caroline.
so good.
I am in heaven. This is a Ryan Porth special where they have tots, eggs, bacon, sour cream, and queso all in one.
I mean, bacon, cheese, and any sort of potato in any sort of form, like, what else do you need?
I know. And what else do you need than this kind of brunch, the Texas-sized mimosas, and we have playoff hockey this afternoon.
In Bridgestone.
In Smashville.
A nearly packed Smashville.
A Sunday fun day about to take place at Bridgestone Arena coming up at 1:30 as the game time start for Game 4. And joining us now from Barrel House is the one and only Chase McCabe. And I know, Chase, you are currently jealous of what I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, I'm very jealous, and watching you absolutely stuff your face during the break on Zoom. Like, I'm not sure you were chewing. It was pretty impressive, but you were going to town on those tots. But it sounds like it's good. The Dogwood's a great place.
It is a great place. This is the happening place right now. A lot of Preds fans are out here already. Great to see before today's Game 4. And Chase, what a game Friday night. A double overtime win, 5-4 for the Nashville Predators over the Carolina Hurricanes. They essentially saved their season because if they lose that game in double overtime, as I'm getting the food burps, as they saved their season in double overtime, Matt Duchene comes up with the biggest moment of his Preds tenure so far. And I said this to start the show with Caroline, that I was really happy for Matt Duchene because he's been the focus of a lot of criticism, especially this season. And to see him come through like that in the clutch and have that moment where he can be the one, be the hero of the night, go out there for the 3 stars and be the one under the spotlight, I was really happy to see him have that moment.
Yeah, I was too. And, you want to see him build on that moment now. Take that and do something today. I said going into the game when Darren and I did pregame, I was like, Forsberg is going to have to be big and play a big game. You know that Yossi's going to have to do the same thing. Somebody else is going to have to answer the call. And to my very pleasant surprise, it was more than one. It was Johansen was stepping through. That line was really good. I liked those 3 together, all 3 scoring goals. But Johansen did that. Granlund did that. He stepped up and scored. And then Duchene comes in. I believe it was his only shot on goal, but that's really all that matters was that one for him to bury it. And let's see what this does for him moving forward. Can he put some consistency together with big moments like that for this team as they try to even the series here today?
Other players that have been the focus of criticism, like Ryan Johansen or Ryan Ellis, maybe even Mikael Granlund to an extent here to start the playoffs, all coming up with big goals. But Johansen, I understand this is what he is. He's Jekyll and Hyde in the regular season, and the playoffs come, and you typically see the best out of 92. And what he did Friday night makes me once again wish he did a lot more of, and that was on his goal, the go-ahead goal in period 3, to go up 4-3. He wins the face-off. He goes to the front of the net. He gets his stick on the puck, and it goes in the back of the net. Like, there's a lot of me asking, why don't you do that more? And I think it's great that he played his butt off in Game 3. You're going to need to see that again in Game 4. But for a team that does not have a lot of size up front at forward, he's the guy that can go toe-to-toe with Dougie Hamilton or Slavin or Hakanpää or even Brett Pesce and win one-on-one battles. And, man, if he continues to play like he did in Game 3, I do like their chances of knotting up the series today if he has another big performance.
But the problem there is the word that you said multiple times, if.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like we've discussed a lot with this team of if Johansen plays the way he did in Game 3, if Duchene comes through and plays the same way, if Forsberg is Forsberg, if all these things. Because if all that had happened and happened on a consistent basis in the regular season, I think you could make the argument that the Predators, as currently constructed, with all of that coming together, would be right there fighting for the division. But that didn't happen. They had to deal with the injuries. You had to have the young guys come in. The young guys changed the energy of the team, and that's when you saw things really come together. And then those players that we're constantly talking about of having to step up and do more, they started to do it, but it's just not consistent, and that's the issue that we've been faced with. Now, that can all change today. You build off the crowd, because I know one thing, they let a little over 12,000 in here. It felt like 30 with the fans the other night.
Yep.
And the energy that they brought. You feed off of that, you have a little momentum, a little confidence after 2 overtimes, because if you think about it, the last 2 postseasons before this one, the Predators had some heartbreak in overtime. It ended their season. And so that you got that kind of out of the way. You've changed the juju. So I think if you can do all those things, there's that word again, this series could change.
Chase, John Hines has had several lineup changes throughout this series, and whatever they did Friday night worked. But we kind of questioned that power play unit on Friday night. Yeah, they scored a goal, what they haven't done this series yet. But we question John Hines' decision to pull Ryan Johansen from the power play unit. So what do you predict this power play unit will look like in terms of lineup changes? What do you see tonight? Today, I guess. Today.
And I think that I'm fine with how John Hines has been doing things, of shaking it up. He's trying to find the right combinations, winning combinations, and I think you got the Predators' best the other night, even though it took extra frames to get the win. But as for the power play, I think it says a lot when you have Johansen and Duchene not a part of it. That's $16 million worth of player that is not on your man advantage. And I would suspect that, you may see the same that you saw the other night. And yes, they scored, but still it was just that one, and it took a 5-on-3. So, unless John Hines looks at how Johansen and Duchene played the rest of the time and go, okay, they've earned their spot back, they can get on there. We'll see, is Victor Arvidsson healthy? Is he going to be back? What is that going to look like? But I honestly think that you probably won't see them on there again. That's just my opinion.
If Victor Arvidsson is healthy, do you think he plays?
I think he's got to be super, super healthy. Like, not just hey, power through, because I feel like that's what he did through the first 2 games, and he just wasn't effective. I liked Cousins. I'm going to be honest. I liked having Cousins in the lineup. And so that's a tough decision if they want to put Arvidsson in there, is Cousins the one coming out, or is Tolvanen coming back out? Because I still don't think we have seen the Ellie Tolvanen that we need to see this time of year.
Well, we haven't, but he came dangerously close twice to scoring on the power play.
He did.
Friday night. And for a team that is 1 for 17 on the power play in this series, I don't know how you can take Tolvanen out.
That is just such a gross stat.
It's not great. It's better than 0 for 17. I'll say that.
That is true. That's fair.
Well, what was it against Dallas, Ryan? 0 for, was it 13, or is it more than that?
0 for 15, I think it was.
0 for 15? Yeah.
In the 6 games. All right, last thing for you. What did you make of what Rod Brindamore said after the game 3, with the officiating? Did you think that it was as heavily slanted in Nashville's favor in terms of the officiating as Brindamore thought, or do you think Brindamore is just trying to play some political games here with the league and the officials to try to get more power plays today?
I don't know if it was necessarily heavily slanted. I've talked to a few people about this and gotten different opinions. I just think there were some bad calls. There simply were bad calls both ways. You can make was it the Hakanpää trip? I think it was. That was one. The cross check by Ekholm, I think, was questionable. But I just feel like that's what it's been, and the refs can't decide how they want to call this. Like, do they want to let them play, or do they just want to call everything? And I'm not even going to say by the book because it's like they're literally calling everything.
Well, yeah, and the hook in overtime was probably the most egregious one. Like, Lajoie, that hook that he had on Duchene does not get called in playoff overtime. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
And I can see why Brandon Moore might be upset about that. But then he blamed the overtime goal on that. And I'm thinking to myself, like, first of all, the Duchene goal happened, I think it was over a minute after that penalty expired. And your own goaltender iced the puck. Like, Nedeljkovic shot the puck all the way down ice. That resulted in an icing. And then it was off the next faceoff where Yossi finds himself deep in his own end zone, flips the puck down ice. Duchene corrals it, takes it in, and scores the goal. Like, that's not all on that one call. So I thought there was a little bit of crybaby in Rod Brindamore on Friday night after Game 3, but I know what he's trying to do.
Yeah, I think to kind of wrap it up, I think the officiating hasn't been great, but I think that was those comments, which got a lot of pub.
Oh yeah,
those fine for him, I'm sure. Those comments were the result of your team just played a heck of a hockey game. It went double overtime, and you lost, and you're ticked off. That's what I kind of think that was.
Yep, probably. Chase McCabe from Darren, Donick, and Chase, weekdays 10 to 2 here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, and chipping on the Predators Radio Network. Chase, enjoy the game today. We'll both be down there eventually after we have some Texas-sized mimosas and a lot of brunch here today.
All right. Well, look forward to seeing you, and you and Caroline both. Caroline, keep him in line, and make sure he finishes his breakfast.
I'll try. Well, he's a lot easier to keep in line than my other co-host.
Well, that's very true.
Chase McCabe, thank you for joining us here on Preds Extra.
Yep.
All right. Coming up next, we'll give our final thoughts on Game 4. Coming up at 1:30, Preds Hurricanes. The Preds try to knot the series at 2 games apiece. Do they get it done? Or will Carolina skate back to Carolina with a 3-1 series lead for Game 5? We'll also make some picks on the rest of the NHL action on the slate today. Colorado, St. Louis, Washington, Boston, Edmonton, Winnipeg. It's a busy day of playoff hockey, and we'll get into Game 4 a little bit more coming up next year. Preds Canes, it's Preds Extra. Ryan Porth, Caroline Fenton, live from the Dogwood in Midtown. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game, streaming on the Game Nashville app. A little brass bonanza bringing us back here on Preds Extra, ESPN 102.5 The Game, streaming on the Game Nashville app. Caroline, I'm getting the brunch tots burps.
The post brunch tot experience.
Yes. We are live from the Dogwood in Midtown. Come on out. It's a lot of fun out here.
It is popping over here. I've seen a few party buses roll out.
It is
Happy Sunday.
Poppin'. It is Sunday Fun Day. It is a playoff game day in Smashville. 1:30 start. Pregame coming up in 10 minutes with Darren McFarland. He'll be joined by Adam Vingan of The Athletic. I am happy that my voice has gotten through 90 minutes of Preds Extra here. Yesterday morning when I woke up, I did not think I was going to be able to co-host the show with you.
I have fallen victim to that many a times.
It's hard not to get wrapped into it like we were on Friday night. That was a special atmosphere inside Bridgestone Arena, and it will be once again for Game 4 this afternoon. So let's get into it. Game 4, like I said earlier, the Preds are going to try to do something that they've already done 4 times in their playoff history, and that is win both games 3 and 4 when coming home with an 0-2 series deficit, I should say. They did it in 04, 08, 2016, and then 2017 against the Penguins in the Stanley Cup Final. And this is a big one. I mean, the swing of this series is massive with this one game. Mm-hmm. Either the Preds are going to take this back to Raleigh tied 2-2, or the Canes are going to take this back to Raleigh with a chance to close out the series Tuesday night.
That's just dangerous.
I am expecting an intense game today between the Preds and the Canes.
I think so, too. And I think the Predators know that this game, I'm not going to call it a must-win, but I think the Predators know that they are putting themselves in a very, very dangerous position if they do lose this game going back to Raleigh. However, Jared and I discussed this on Friday. If the Predators do win today and the series is tied 2-2, are you willing to call it a series?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. It then becomes a best-of-3 series.
Right.
And that might be too simplistic because Carolina is still the better team. But there is something to be said. If they win today, you are putting all of the pressure on Carolina going back home for Game 5. And I said this before the series a lot when I actually did pick the Preds in 6 games in this series. And that was, how would Carolina respond to adversity? How would Carolina respond to being the heavy favorite in the series and the pressure that comes with it? Because this group has never faced that before.
Right.
I think that is real. I mean, the Preds, once they faced a lot of pressure in the playoffs after that 2017 run, we did not see the best of the Nashville Predators. So I would be curious to see how Carolina responds to that. So we're doing a special edition of Caroline's here.
Special Sunday edition.
So for you, how are you looking at this game? What are you picking? What are the current odds for this one?
The current odds, it's Carolina minus 150, and the spread is 1.5. I was shocked. I picked the Friday night's game to be a low-scoring game, and I was a little bit shocked when it was such a high-scoring game, but I still think today I'm expecting a low-scoring game. Over-under is 5.5.
So you would take the under?
I think I would take the under.
I think I would too.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be one of those 2-1, 3-2,
right,
low scoring. You know, if you get the bounce to go your way, you're probably going to win this game. I think it's going to be that kind of game today.
Right. I think so too. And I think Friday too, just the atmosphere, it just kind of, it felt like it lent itself to a high scoring game. I mean, it was just a very physical, electric game, but I don't know. Today I think you're going to see a lot more defense. And I think that UC Saros didn't have his best game on Friday, and I think that he makes a lot of really clutch saves today. And he still played fantastically. It just he wasn't playing that, that 9.6 save percentage goalie that we've seen.
So what would be your pick against the spread?
I'm going to take the Predators plus 1.5.
Okay.
And I'm going to take the under.
Does that mean you think they win?
I don't know. That's the tough thing. I think it's going to be a very close scoring game. If I had to put my money on something, I would probably put money on the Carolina money line.
I think I'm going to agree with that, with everything that you just said.
Yeah.
I would take the Preds plus 1.5, but
that is minus 225. Not great odds on that.
No,
Preds plus
it's
1.5.
not. It's not. But we said this earlier. Momentum from game to game doesn't always exist in the playoffs, and just because you won Game 3 in double overtime, I don't think has anything to do with what we're going to see today. If the Preds win Game 4 today, I don't think it has anything to do with the fact that they won in double overtime, this magical moment for Matt Duchene.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if they win Game 4, it means they went out there, and when Carolina cranked it up like I'm expecting, they went out there and beat Carolina while Carolina was at their best. And that would be very impressive if the Preds were able to send this back to Raleigh tied 2-2.
And I agree, and I don't think I still think that Carolina is the better team, and I think that the Predators had a bunch of wonderful opportunities, and they capitalized on them, something that they hadn't done in the past. But, I mean, a 5-on-3 power play goal, that was lent itself in the Preds' favor. So I do think that Carolina is still the better team, but I'm willing to change that tune if the Predators can take 2 in a row against Carolina.
So I'm going 3-2 Carolina as the final, and maybe even overtime again.
Oh, I don't know if I can handle
I know I can.
Another overtime game. With the tots in the overtime, it's a heart attack waiting to happen.
I will not be able to handle overtime after eating these tots because I literally might have a heart attack in the arena today.
Oh, it is better to have an overtime at a 1:30 start.
Yes. I'm also going
late
with
bedtime on Friday.
Ellie Tolvanen goal at plus 280.
Okay.
He scores one on the power play today. I'm calling it.
I took Philip Forsberg to score and Nashville Predators to win on Friday night, plus 480.
There you go.
There you go.
Those are some good odds there.
Very fun prop bets.
So let's quickly look at the rest of Sunday. Colorado heavily favored against St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
Rapid fire. Who are you going with? Colorado.
Colorado.
Or St. Louis? Me too. They get the
They're
sweeps on.
sweeping the Blues.
Washington, Boston.
Washington.
Game 5. You think Washington stays alive?
I'm going to take Washington.
I'm going to take Washington as well. They stay alive at home. They force a Game 6. And then the Edmonton Oilers, one of the more shocking series so far.
Mm-hmm.
Oilers or Jets tonight in Game 3?
I'm going to take the Jets. I don't think they fall 3-0.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Jets.
So,
I don't think they fall 3-0.
So it would be the Oilers falling down 3-0 if the Oilers lose.
Yes.
So you're going with the Oilers.
I'm going with the Oilers.
All right.
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm going with the Oilers.
We are on the same page.
We are, yes.
On everything today. So I really hope the Oilers win today for multiple reasons. Caroline.
A financial reason?
Perhaps. Caroline, it was great for these last 90 minutes.
It was a blast.
Hanging out at the Dogwood.
It was a blast.
Let's
do it again next week.
Some fun today at Bridgestone Arena. Game 4, Preds Hurricanes. For Caroline Fenton, I'm Ryan Porth. Thanks for listening to Preds Extra live from the Dogwood in Midtown. I'm going to finish these tots and also listen to Darren McFarland for a pregame that starts next here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.